Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited today to interview Keto Goddess Mama, also known as Ciara Martinez, for the third time. That's how
Crazy.
interesting. I love it. People are going to understand why I keep interviewing you in a second. But I will make sure that I link the first and the second interview in the description box below, and also your handle and everything so people can follow you. Your story is so fascinating, and I still don't understand how you do it all. So, can you give us a mini brief background from how you started off with, not skinny genetics, and then you were able to overcome that mental health, depression, anxiety, because sometimes people who might have fat kid genetics, but then generally speaking, their mindset is always great. And so they're not really addicted to foods. But to have fat kid genetics plus vulnerability towards depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, all those things, plus children, plus a full-time job. How do you do it?
I don't know. No, some days, like I was just talking to Dr. Sarah before we started recording. Some days I just want to pull my hair out. I feel like this last week has been really challenging.
Mm.
Um, Literally putting out fires left and right, sickness in the house. I have a toddler in the terrible twos. It is a lot. It is a lot on my plate every single day, but I just try to wake up every morning and say, breathe. I've started doing a meditation in the morning. That's really helped me a lot. I've habit stacked that with a little stretching session, and it just like recenters me and lets me not like get my thoughts, my anxiety running basically,
Yeah.
um, to attack the day fresh every day. Because if we let stuff that happens from our family, the outside world, whatever come in and just hold us, it will hold us down if we let it. So we have to just approach every day fresh and try our best with what we're given every day, period. Uh,
Yeah.
so like you asked me, sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, no, please. That's what
I
I do.
Yeah, I started my journey, I think it was 2016 at 225 pounds. That's when I had my first two children. I broke my leg. 2 weeks after that, we moved to South Florida. My husband was working like 70 hours a week, and that's when the biggest like spiral of shit basically
Yeah.
came together, and I hit my rock bottom. I was eating and drinking all the things. I would literally go through a handle of vodka every like 2 or 3 days. It was terrible.
Oh, I never heard about the alcohol part. I thought it was just the food.
Oh no, it was alcohol too. It's
Yeah.
if you go peeping through the post, there'll be
Right,
little
right, right.
in there every now and then. And it was just not a good place to be. I didn't want to wake up. I was so medicated. I was on like four different medications at a time that just made me feel like worse. Like it made me from feeling everything to feeling like nothing.
Huh.
And I'm like, I'm not meant to be like this. Like I need to feel the highs and the lows to push me. I mean, that's how we literally know what's worth having and what we don't need in our life, right? So I started my group fitness classes because I was just so fed up. My girlfriend had done keto and she had had really fast results. I want to say like 30 pounds in 2 or 3 months. She was significantly overweight though. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I've tried every diet under the sun and it worked. I was a former binge eater. So when you have so much fat, your body starts to reject that eventually. So my body was like, you're not binge eating this keto cheesecake anymore. Nope.
I
That's what kind of cured my binge eating. I wasn't really tracking macros in the beginning. It shifted to that over the first year. And I've always kind of meal prepped even without the macros. And then I got into weight training. I got into my first mentor. That's when I did all my certs for training and nutrition and all that stuff. And basically worked my way up in the gym. I was working in childcare so my kids could come with me. Then I became a trainer and kind of never looked back. I lost I want to say 60-ish pounds in the first year and a half. And I was like, what else can I do? And that's when the bikini competitions came through and I got on stage first 2018, I believe it was, in the transformation division and bikini division, and I'm on my 6th year of competing now. I am a pro athlete and I hold an international title. So
That's right. And there's a new competition coming up.
there
What?
is.
What?
That
Oh,
was like
that's
softly
amazing.
announced.
I know you just like, when did you post first about it? I think last week. I was like, wait a second, she just finished a competition.
Yeah, I haven't even actually posted it on my Instagram. I only dropped it in the stories.
Sorry. Yes. Well, I'm always in your story, so I would know.
Yeah, so it's been a hard secret to keep.
Love it.
I switched coaches. It's been a big shift, and
Okay.
I have a new coach. He's absolutely amazing. It's night and day difference already. I'm very grateful for him. God put him in my path for a reason. Once again, I believe everything happens for a reason. We've been in prep for 3 weeks now. We have 9 weeks to go. I took
Nice.
even after the last competition in July, I went to Mexico for a week. I kind of didn't really track, but I mean, I was still eating 6, 7 times a day, healthy pretty much 90% of the time. And I did my training in between there. I did my own programming, got fed up with that just because, I mean, I've been a coach for many years, but I can do it by myself for like 4 to 6 weeks. And I'm like, give me a coach again. I'd go crazy.
Right. It really helps a lot to have a coach. It simplifies everything, you know? You don't have to keep double guessing yourself, or am I doing this right? Or you keep changing strategies, you know?
Well, I just like, I like to bounce off somebody, and I want someone to challenge my thoughts, my behaviors,
Yeah.
and I push myself hella hard, girl. I
Yeah.
do. But just to have that outside eye and accountability is huge,
Yeah. I agree. I agree. What has been the biggest benefit you've seen since changing coaches, or biggest shift maybe?
Well, in regards to the process, or
Anything, like just in general.
well, the process is 9 day. Like I've never done a prep like this. But also I've never really started a prep in as good of a position as my body was because I held it in really good condition
Mm,
with that show, right? So
right.
right now it's like 4 days a week. We started at 20 minutes cardio a day. I'm like, who am I? This is if y'all know me at all, I do like an hour on the stairs every day. So those limiting beliefs,
Yeah.
self-limiting beliefs come in. You're not doing enough, you're behind, whatever. But it slowly turned up a little bit. Last week we went up to 30 minutes.
Hmm.
This week we're going up to 40. The food is dropping. My food's still very high, which is nice. Um, he trusts me and knows that I know what I'm doing, so I'm allowed to have my macros and build my meal plan from the macros that he gives me,
Right.
which is great because I can eat the foods that work for my body. I don't know, I know you do carnivore, but
Animal
I,
based more so than, yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty clear I don't do keto anymore. I've just
Yeah.
not changed my name because I feel like everyone knows me as that. But he's helped me get my carbs up to the highest they've ever been.
Mm,
At like 224 carbs.
right.
So, but it's still I can't have like every carb under the sun. It's certain foods that my body likes and that works for my body. My body's finally accepted rice, which is nice. I think it's
Mm.
because I ate sushi every day in Mexico. I just like forced it to,
I
forced
love it.
to take it.
How much of a difference has it made since upping your carbs versus being like keto macros?
um, I couldn't say that I noticed any difference, like strength wise, to
Right.
be completely honest with you. It took about 3 or 4 weeks after show, because when we're at the end of prep, you just feel like blah.
Mm,
And it took a couple weeks for you to get your strength back. It took about 3 or 4 weeks to feel strong in the gym again, but I don't notice a difference. The carbs that I have been allotted previously have been structured, the majority of them around my training before and after.
yeah.
So I think as long as you're doing that, like you're fine.
Right, right. And just goes to show you, maybe initially when somebody has a lot of insulin resistance, it's like more important to make sure you're healing that with lower and lower carbs. But eventually, this is where people I feel struggle. They feel like, oh my gosh, keto or carnivore healed me so much. So I'm gonna have to do this for the rest of my life. And sometimes they might start having symptoms that aren't the best just because they're not touching fiber or a plant food. And we have to be flexible. We have to really pay attention to our health and to our symptoms and see, no matter what the experts are saying, what is working for you and what is not.
Exactly. And that can change over time. And I think what you said exactly, like we get stuck. Like even at the beginning of my competing, I was like, I can't eat above this amount of carbs, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I've slowly changed that over the years because I recognized that the changes that I wanted to see in my body weren't happening in the
Right.
time frame that I would like them to. I mean, I'm a natural athlete. I will never go down the Ph.D. route. So my body is a result of what goes in it and the work that I put into it, period. So I was
Right.
like, I want something different. I got to do something different, you know?
So would you say that adding carbs helped you put on more muscle?
I would think so. I think my body's changed pretty significantly since having Christian.
Mm, that's
Yeah.
so interesting. Yeah, there you go.
But I will say that eating the way I was previously, I was still able to build muscle and make significant changes. I couldn't say if one was better or the other because it's been a process this entire time, right? There were
Right.
significant changes made before and significant changes made after. It could just be the timeline, you know?
Right. 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 Okay. I wanted to ask you about your 5 a.m. workouts.
Yeah.
Do you ever sleep in?
Well, actually yesterday and today I forced myself to lay in the bed till about 6:15,
Okay.
which is hard, but I'm like, I kind of took this weekend, except for this meeting with you. Like I said, it was a rough week just to kind of like calm my central nervous system, take it for myself, sleep a little bit more, just because I've been feeling all over the place, overwhelmed, overstimulated. And we have to do that sometimes, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the way we can serve our family, ourselves, and others
Yeah.
appropriately, if we're taken care of. So yeah, 6:15 today and yesterday.
And so I remember, I think probably like in our first interview, one of those interviews you mentioned how you used to sleep 12 hours in a day back when in the throes of depression and being
Mhm.
overweight and all that stuff. So how has that shifted? Because it's not like would you say you're running on sleep deprivation or would you say your body's getting as much sleep as it requires right now?
No, I'm getting plenty of sleep because when Michael comes home from work, which is usually between 6 and 7 p.m., he takes over because I've been dealing with the family, all the
Right.
back and forth all day long. So then I'm checked out pretty much. I'm like, they've been fed, they've already had their baths. So I go get ready for bed, and usually he'll come up here sometimes at 7:45. I'm already out.
Wow. Oh, okay. Quarter to eight.
Like I'm
Yeah.
out. The latest is like if 9:15 maybe. Yeah. So
Yeah. So that's, yeah. So let's say if you're out by, let's say 8 and you're waking up, what time would you say your wake up is, your wake up time?
between 3:45 and 4:45. Yeah.
3:45 and 4:45. Okay. So wow, around 4. Okay.
Yeah.
4,
My
5, 6,
body,
8 hours. Yeah.
I don't even need an alarm anymore. My
Okay.
body, it just wakes up. It's
Yeah.
great.
I feel like that is the hardest thing for clients to implement. And I think that's the single most important habit that sets the tone for the rest of the day.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I could
Right?
not agree more.
What?
And if you're
Yeah.
busy, whether it be with kids or work or whatever, you have to structure and schedule that time for yourself or it's not going to happen. Like anytime I had to go do my cardio at like 3 something yesterday. I hate that. I cannot freaking stand it.
Yeah.
But I was busy all morning long. I had to go get it done when I want, it's important to me. It's going to get done.
Yeah.
Um, but it's because I slept in, to be honest. Like that's why it didn't get done in the morning. But I knew that my body needed that extra time. My mind needed that extra time, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but when I get up, I do my meditation, I do my stretching, I go do my cardio. I'm fully ready for the day before anyone in my house is even awake. And that is life changing.
Mhm.
Like I can't even explain it. And if you don't have kids and you're just working a job, you get up and you do all that and then you go to work, you have already accomplished so much towards what you're working towards for yourself. And it just, outpours. It literally outpours into how you perform in every other area of your life. So
I agree. It's like you're building momentum for the day. You know how the people are very aware of how important momentum is over time, especially on a weight loss journey? It happens over a period of days. Yes, you're building momentum, but it also happens within the every single day itself. You want to start building momentum for the day. And that I call it like a dopamine shot. When you wake up early in the morning and you get that workout in, just waking up in the morning is you're gonna have more dopamine throughout the day. Your baseline dopamine is gonna be higher. And then you add in the exercise, even more dopamine. It's very hard to mess up a day like that.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. What would your advice be for somebody who is struggling to, which I feel like that is probably the number one habit that people are struggling with, and it's the number one thing that might make their weight loss journey a lot harder than it needs to be. What would your advice be to, let's say, a potential client to establish this habit?
Well, you have to, number one, you have to go to bed earlier. So that means this is on do not disturb at like 5:30 p.m. Okay. If it's getting checked, I'm going in there. That means the shades are closing, the lights are dimming, like candles are lit. Like you have to literally set the tone in the environment to start calming your central nervous system down. And the TV is off. Unless you need, I'm not gonna lie, I have to watch animal documentaries to fall asleep, but they put me to sleep like that.
I love it.
Unless you needed to fall asleep, but not on like an intense show that's going to keep your intention and keep your brain engaged, right?
Yeah.
And you have to go to sleep. I mean, I work with a lot of moms that they're like, oh, but that's my time. That's my time. Well, guess what? The morning can be your time.
I
You just have to switch that. But doom scrolling or Netflix binging or drinking the bottle of wine and whatever, that's ultimately not serving you. And at some point, you have to wake up and realize that that's not getting you closer to where you want to be. You know,
Yep.
as I've gotten further along in this process and this journey and how I coach, I've become very blunt
Yeah.
because I don't want to sugarcoat it anymore. Like I tried to sugarcoat it for a long time, and it's just like we got to get over ourselves sometimes, period, and
Yeah.
stop making excuses, period.
Yes. Yes. I love that. When I listen to your podcast. Wait, what's the name of the podcast? Unstoppable.
Becoming unstoppable. Yeah.
Becoming Unstoppable, right. I like the moment you drop an episode, I'm the first one to listen to it. And I think everybody should go on Spotify right now and subscribe. And I love that you're very blunt and like, oh my gosh, because that's me. That's my natural personality too. And my hobbies too, which is why we probably would get along so well. Just say it like it is. I feel like time's so valuable, so scarce. And trying like if I also don't put myself in situations where I have to kind of appease or people please and say things in the way that people like to hear
Mhm.
things. It's just not me, and that's probably why I can't get employed. you know? So yeah, I love that.
Say why I can't get what?
Employed.
Oh, no, you're
know?
self-employed.
Well, I'm self-employed, yeah, but the reason why I've always worked so hard to be able to quit all my jobs is because I cannot appease other people and try to say things that might not be truly what I believe, but I know that I can't say what I think because it's going to hurt someone's feeling or it's going to make them feel weird or whatever. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to say what I want to say on my YouTube channel. And people love that too. Like you attract a lot of clients like that. They want you to tell it to them like it is?
Mhm.
So
And I'm the same way. I could never work under someone again. Like my gym over here they've been hounding me for like the last year. They want
yeah,
me to go ask all the time. I have clients within the gym. I don't train them in the gym, but I'm like, don't tell them because I'm not trying to lose my gym membership. But I'm like, I can't let someone have that control over me ever again. Like, I've worked so hard to set my life up in a way that supports me best mentally so I can be the best mother, the best coach, the best wife possible. And to go backwards on that, unless, I mean, some places paying me like $1 million a year, it's not happening. You
love
know
it.
what I'm saying?
Yes. Once you taste it, you taste that freedom, you taste the joy of being your own boss. You can't ever go back, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about discipline. Would you, Would you say, or let me ask you a better question. What percentage of your success would you ascribe to discipline?
Oh, like 100%. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have anything
Yeah.
because the follow through is everything.
Yes. It's not just like, oh, I'm gonna go keto and I'm gonna lose weight. It's not like keto's helping. I'm sure it helped a lot, but there's something far more important than that, and that is the discipline.
Yeah, you have to have it. And, you know, I like to say, like, you're gonna expect to mess up. Expect the speed bumps, expect the stuff life throws at you, expect to fall off. Just let it happen and then get right back up the next day and go. The problem is when that stuff happens and we let it take us down,
Yes.
right?
And we
We're
sleep
like,
in the next day, which we're already starting off on a bad track the next day. Now you have 2 days that are bad. It's harder to recover from that.
yeah, and then you just say you ate something off plan and then it's Friday and you wake up on Saturday like, F it, it's the weekend. I'm just gonna go ham all weekend and start again on Monday, right? No, that's not serving anybody. It's a hamster on a wheel scenario. Like, let's get off this wheel and let's just make the steps forward. It's not going to be like perfectly forward. There's going to be little dips, but you've got to keep going forward. No more hamster on a wheel scenario.
Yes. What are some disciplined techniques or tools or mindset shifts? So like things that fall under the umbrella of discipline that you feel made a difference for you? Because the people hear discipline, it's like, okay, well, what does it mean? Like, what do you mean just become more disciplined, you know?
Well, in regards to health and fitness, is where we're going to go with this. Let's say, for instance, I have my planner right here. I have written out what I have to do today that is a non-negotiable. That is portion out all my food. It's already cooked, but I need to separate it all out. I have to do some work stuff that's in here, and then I have to write out my meal plan with my new macros. That is a non-negotiable. I will take my little highlighter because I'm old school, and I will mark it off when it's done. And again, that gives that momentum,
Yeah.
self-accomplishment, etc.
Scheduling. I do the same. I just do it on an Excel sheet, but
Yeah.
scheduling is so important. Yes.
And then I will go and write out when I'm going to work out and what days I'm going to do specific days of training, right?
Yes.
For the week. The only thing that's going to stop that from happening at that time is if I'm sick or someone else in my family is sick,
Right.
which is what happened last week. And then again, the highlighter thing is stupid, but it does something to the brain to write it down and to mark it off. Yes, I have stuff in my phone calendar as well, but writing it down does something different for me.
They've done studies on that, show that people who write down their goals, or it's a form of scheduling, I remember, I forget exactly what percentage, but there's much higher percentage of success in actually achieving those goals or those tasks.
And then just seeing it all down. Like sometimes my list will get so long, but the important stuff is at the top. Those are the negotiables. The other stuff is like that could be, pushed on to the next day, like I don't know, cleaning the fans or laundry.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be done that day. And then you wake up, you know the plan for your day, and you look at it as an appointment with yourself, like you would as a doctor's appointment or anything else. It's a non-negotiable.
Yes.
If it's important to you, you're going to find a way to do it, period. If it's not, you're going to find an excuse to not do it. So if you're consistently making excuses to not doing it or letting other things get in the way of it, maybe it's really not that important to you.
Yeah.
Just to be honest, because people can talk all day long about what they want and the change they want to do, but some people get a dopamine hit from that, talking about it, but not actually doing it.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. And the way I guess a lot of people are going to say, no, I really, really want it, but I think you can increase the desire for a thing because sometimes your back is not against the wall, and it takes very little for people to be complacent with their life, really. Like a stable job, and just like they're not dying from any reason.
Oh
And
yeah.
yet, and they
Settling for mediocrity, that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can increase your desire to do better, your desire to have that physique, your desire to be your own boss by surrounding yourself with podcasts, with following people that live that life, constantly reminding yourself that that life exists. And the closer you get to it by immersing yourself and surrounding your thoughts with that, that can increase your level of desire for that thing, and it can give you like that initial spark to start, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, it does come down to literally just the work. So many our people avoid the work. Our society has made everything so easy. We have Amazon, we have Uber Eats. We can go pick up our groceries. Like we've created, I mean, I feel like eventually we're gonna be like, what is that movie where they're like blobs floating around on
Yeah, I forget. Yeah.
like it's I feel like I see it going that way because we've created everything to be so easy and Instacart and this, that, and the other. But you know, the body doesn't work like that. The soul doesn't work like that.
Nope.
The mind doesn't work like that. It takes time, it takes commitment, it takes dedication, it takes work on all fronts. It all works together. You're
Yes.
not going to have a banging body without having this up here right. I'm
Yes.
sorry. And if
Yeah.
sometimes it will happen where they get the body and this isn't right, and then it all goes the opposite way again because they haven't done the work up here.
They didn't do the processes. They didn't change those habits, those mental habits too. Yes, I agree.
It's all the battle is starts and ends up here with what you want to change on the outside. So
Yep. That's why, again, your podcast is so awesome because you go in there, you go into the mindset, which is really kind of like the root of everything.
yeah, and we're trying to do a little bit deeper. I go off on tangents, girl, so bad.
But we love that. No, that's like we want to hear all of it because sometimes when you're trying to stay on track all the time, you forget to talk about the nuances. And sometimes when you're more kind of like just going all over where your brain is taking you, you can glean so many powerful nuggets from that because it might seem very natural to you, but for somebody who's not there yet, it's still not a natural thought that comes to mind, So
Oh, I remember
sometimes
being there.
what?
I remember being like that, being there.
Yeah.
I remember listening to I remember first time I listened to a podcast. I'm like, what is this? This is weird. And I almost felt a resistance
Yeah.
to listening to it. It was like my internal self was like, no, we don't want to be better. We're happy being complacent, living this mediocre life. Like it's an internal battle. It's not just the mindset, it's like a soul thing, you know?
Mm,
And you have to change who you are,
yeah.
every aspect, you know?
I noticed something that as you start becoming more successful in any or all areas of your life, your levels of cynicism start to drop. It's like they're negatively, inversely proportional to one another. Whereas when you're still, I remember when I was still like in a very like victim mindset, I, if I would watch a podcast or anything and people would say something like so inspiring, whatever, I would be like so cynical about it. And it's like, yo,
Oh yeah.
no, right? Easy for you to say, or just I wouldn't believe what they were saying. And
Because it was a trigger of something that was uncomfortable within you.
exactly, because I wasn't ready to
Same
do the work.
thing.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
right? So let me ask you about the bad days. Do you ever still have days where having struggled with mental health, I know exactly what depression feels like, what anxiety feels like. What do you do on those days? Do you still have them? Are they less frequent? I have a feeling that they might be. Like, how do you handle those days and those mood states?
Oh, well, they are less frequent, but they are still here
Yeah.
100%. I mean, January, the start of my last prep, January, February, I was in a bad space. Like, I mean, it was terrible. Even end of last week to beginning of this week, I told my husband, I was like, I feel like this is January all over again.
Hmm.
It was just a shit storm of stuff though, dealing with my child. I committed to too many events that weekend. So I had to be extroverted more than I normally am. And I know to protect my energy and who I am. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I understand the extroversion. I get drained if I spend too much time with people,
That's
but when you
exactly
would
what
never know
happened.
it, right? Like I know you're exactly the same way. Like you could never tell when I'm socializing with you or or if I'm observing you interacting with other people. Same thing with me. Like I'm like I want to be the life of the party. I'm always trying to make sure everybody feels good and happy and whatever, but it's taking everything out of me. And then I
Oh
need to
yeah.
recharge.
It drained me. I mean, I had a girlfriend's party.
Yeah.
I had a bad period, just
Mm,
straight up. They
mm.
so weird lately. It's so heavy I can't leave my house, or I'm having digestion issues, or I feel psycho again. And this is one of the ones where I felt psycho again.
Yes. Yeah.
I hosted my daughter's birthday on Sunday, and then Monday I had a stomach bug, and then Tuesday my son was sick home from school, and it was like one thing after another.
And you're in prep.
And I'm in prep. And I'm just I literally cried leaving the gym multiple times last week
Yeah.
because I was so anxious about going home and being with my toddler that literally beats me up all day long, and I do everything for him. And I'm like, why does this kid hate me? It's just the age that he's going through. And then I started questioning myself. I said, it's not time for this prep. You have too much going on. Why are you doing this? Oh, but you've already invested, you've already booked your hotel, and just having these internal battles. And I was just like, stop. We're not playing these games. We're not negotiating with our weaknesses. Listen to your own advice. Make the best out of every situation. Do whatever we got to do to distract the kids and set the nighttime routine up to make that better. Take the steps and stop playing the victim, period. Because that's what it is. When we let the depression, when we let the anxiety in, we are literally, if we want to take it in God's term, it's Satan. He's attacking us left, right. And he can't make us do anything, but he can invict emotions in us that make us take action. And I have to look at any time any of the stuff is coming at me as Satan literally attacking me. That helps my brain stop it. But I mean, it was like 4 days of going down the drain pretty much. And it was hard, and I'm still like, so I said, I'm taking this weekend just to kind of recharge and refresh and reset. I mean, you got to do that as many times as you need to, but I just want to let people know that the shiz never goes away. Like, you're going to be fighting the battles for the rest of your life. You just get better at fighting them.
Right.
And you choose how long you're going to let it take you down, whatever terminology you got to use. To me, it's when I look at it as Satan attacking me, that really helps me.
Powerful. Yeah. And do you get you get those thoughts like, oh, if I just go on a binge right now, and you start to, do you ever still do that, or do you right away reframe it?
It's usually not right away. I will ask myself, okay, if I'm feeling like I want to take an action that is not, just say I want to go grab some goldfish out of the pantry because I'm just like, oh, these kids, man, some goldfish. I'm like, wait, is this working for what I want, or is it taking me further away? If you could just stop yourself in the tracks of whatever you're about to do and ask yourself that will help you a lot as well. That I do that all the time.
Yeah.
And if it starts in the morning meditation has helped a lot, but it used to start every single morning as soon as I would open my eyes, and I would tell myself, we are not negotiating with our weaknesses, period. I will never be weak again, period. I will never let what's up here negatively affect the rest of my life, period. I can't. I've lived like that. It's no way to live. I was suicidal. I refuse to go back to that.
I love it. What I do, I will time. So for example, if I get an urge, like say I'm having a terrible day, really bad day, and I'm like, oh, it's okay if I just have like a little bit of nuts or whatever, or dark chocolate, or you start to kind of try to make it appear to be not as bad as it could be.
You're negotiating with yourself.
You're negotiating, exactly. A way to strengthen my discipline is like, I would time, okay, it's like, okay, I'm not gonna say no just yet, I'm gonna time it. And oftentimes when you start the clock to delay gratification, it's like it comes in waves and then it just goes away. And then before you know it, you don't even have to work hard to, like you don't even need to deploy discipline after that point. But just that little mindset shift of just, okay, fine, I see what you want, but maybe let's wait. Let's try to maximize the amount of time that you can spend in that discomfort. And then over time, it becomes easier.
That's very true. I mean, it's the same thing with the implied stress of physical activity.
Yes.
That helps you deal with the other stressful situations, because the body doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know the difference if you're stressed out from your kids or your job, or you're stressed out from the training in the gym, right?
Exactly. So the way that I do it is like, it's a workout for my mind. Just like when I go work out for my body, I'm working out my mind that way. And it's really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that we touched upon the discipline, the fact that the struggles are always going to be there. You're going to fall off track and it is okay. And that's where people, especially in the carnivore community, you know, it's like, oh my God, it's either 100% carnivore or if I have a binge, like I'm off the track. And then some people can go off the track for months. I had a client, he did carnivore for 3 months straight. He's like, and I lost all this weight and it was great. And then I went to a concert and had a few beers that night.
Mhm.
And that like literally kickstarted a weekend of whatever. And for a
Mhm.
whole year after that, he was eating whatever and regained all the weight. And that's after that period of time is when he hired me. So I never leave the house without a carnivore bar in my purse. My favorite is the salted one. Use my code Dr. Ciara to get 10% off thecarnivorebar.com. I turned down 99% of collaboration offers, and that's because I really have to believe in the product and I have to use it on the daily before I can recommend it to you. So this one definitely holds up. It's got only 3 ingredients: grass-finished beef, grass-finished tallow, red mint, real salt. Check it out, and back to the video. Imagine one night of having a couple of
That's how it
beers.
can happen.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to look at certain foods, alcohol, you have to look at it like a drug.
yes,
I mean, we've talked about this. Sugar is a drug. It literally lights the brain up like cocaine.
yes,
And it is a slippery slope for some people, you know?
yeah.
I can't, if I go eat, I'm trying to think of something that I really don't, the food doesn't control me that much anymore. I'm trying to think of something that I still have an issue with, like burritos. Like I love burritos. We talked about Taco Bell before. But if I were to go eat a bunch of burritos, chances are I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and be craving burritos again.
True.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just, I can't let it in because I don't want to have that battle with myself anymore. It's
I
not
love,
worth it. You
yes,
start, I mean, there's food for celebration here and there, but it's not all the time. It's not for every good day and every sad day and every A and every boo-hoo. I hurt my knee. I'm talking in kids' term, you know what I mean? Um, and I'm training my kids that way too, you know. It's not like we're using food to band-aid everything or to celebrate everything.
that is so beautiful that you're modeling that for your children. And I see it in your stories where your children, your daughter wanted to go with you to the gym, you know? I mean,
Oh
I
my
can
God.
only imagine.
Oh my God, that's my heart. Like I was just like, oh yes, come with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It's like this. So like this is my apple cider vinegar and lemon that I drink every day. My son asks for this every day.
That's
There's no sweetener, there's no nothing. He's 9 years old. He wants to drink this every day.
That is so beautiful. When I saw those stories, yeah, it just I got emotional too because
Yeah.
I know how powerful that is to have a parent that's modeling that behavior, and that way you don't have to go through so many hardships that is going to drain your energy and effort to try and solve it, as opposed to being able to do other things with that all that effort, all that energy, you know? Yeah. I want to talk about, remember I told you, let's talk about fat burner supplements and whatever. And you mentioned being all natural, not being on PEDs. So let's talk a little bit about your approach to that. What are your thoughts on those supplements, especially as a competitor? Like for a lifestyle client who wants to lose weight, it's a lot of people will have this thought that maybe they should, but in general, it's very easy to tell them you probably don't necessarily need it. But as a competitor, the pressure is on, you know, and everybody's like a walking pharmacy. So how do you do it?
So it's so funny. We actually recorded the podcast already and we talked. I shout you out and we talked all about
Woo!
it. But I'll talk about it some more. Do you want to talk about lifestyle or competitive? Which one first?
Mm, whichever you want to start. Well, we can do both.
So with lifestyle client, I don't think there's any reason for you to be on a fat burner other than L-carnitine. And that's not even like that's a cellular level fat burner. Like you're not gonna feel like pepped up or anything like that. Like I don't even like to give my clients pre-workout that makes them shaky, jittery, tingly. I don't like any of that stuff. Okay. So L-carnitine, depending on the client, their size, 500 to 1500 milligrams a day. That's gonna also improve your cognitive function as well. So it's not just fat burning, it is cognitive function.
Mm,
I'll recommend including a decaf coffee or two, or decaf green tea or two in the second half of the day, because that is a natural fat burner as well.
true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then when we're going into competition, so we do, or I do, excuse me, yohimbine towards the end of a prep. And again, this is not all the time. This is towards the end of a prep, pre-fasted cardio. I do take a fat burner at the end. It is called shred or something like that. Again, before cardio, it literally is a thermogenic. It just makes you sweat a little bit more. And L-carnitine goes up to about 3,000 milligrams for myself daily at the end of prep. Again, you can't take this all the time. It's not gonna
Yeah.
work. And I couldn't say if one works better than the other, because I guess I've never done a prep without them, if that makes sense.
Right.
So,
Right.
and I mean, I guess I could try that at some point, do one without them, and see if my body changes any differently. But we are so depleted and we're so drained, and the food is low, and we have a lot of output. So sometimes having that extra boost of caffeine and a fat burner is what is going to get me through that cardio session. And it's not even about actual fat burning. It's like just
Energy.
giving you a boost to go get it done, you know?
Yeah. And did you ever think, oh, or were you ever tempted to include PEDs, knowing that most competitors are on taking something like that? Did you ever feel like, oh, I wonder if that's gonna hold me back?
You know, I've been firm in my standing on this from day one. No crown, no trophy, no body is worth long-term damage,
Mm.
or the possibility of long-term damage.
Or virilization of your voice, it can be
Or
a little as
changing
a
my
few weeks.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no. For what? To go for some clout to go win something? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah.
No way. Do I think if I took something I could change my body? Of course. That's what they're there for. But I'm a believer in hard work. I practice what I preach. I'm not going to go do all this and then be taking PEDs. That doesn't make any sense. It's not
Yeah.
who I am, you know, and the health risks that come along with it are not worth it for any title, any crown, any body, period. I've got to a point with my body that I'm happy. I'm good. I don't need to get any bigger. I need tiny tweaks in my lower glutes and upper hamstrings, and that's it. Like, that's a good place to be. I've never been like this. I've never been to a point where I'm just like, I'm satisfied. Like, this is good. Like, you know, and when that comes to competing, that's the same feedback I got from my show. Everything is good, just a little bit more lower glute and upper hamstrings. And I knew that. I know that going in there. That's always been my weak area. And I've done all that naturally. It's taken me 6.5 flipping years, but wait, no, since 2016.
2016 or 18?
No, 18 was when I started competing. 16 is when I started my journey.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's been 8 years,
8 years.
8 years. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
took time.
It does. And that's the thing. It takes time and consistency.
Mhm.
It takes time from the day you start being consistent. Like if you're inconsistent with it and you just are dabbling in diets here and there, this doesn't mean that's like your time. That's not your baseline. You haven't even started yet, you
Yeah,
know?
no, it's just the process has been improved over the years, you know. And whereas I started with the broken leg in my living room, literally doing leg lifts on my knees, you know, from that point on, when I made the decision, I've never fallen off. Like, I was always doing something. I was either with my trainer, I was doing the 5 day a week gym classes, or I was doing, before I could get in the gym, I was doing the workouts in my living room with what I
Yeah.
could, with the boot on my leg and my babies crawling all over me, you know.
Yeah.
And you start to recognize how, again, the exercise releases the dopamine in your brain. And when you don't do that for 2 or 3 days, you feel the difference in how you
Right?
perform and how you show up big
Yeah.
time. Like, even with my lower training right now, it's messing with me a little bit. I'm
I was
like,
just, you know what? That was the number one thing I wanted to bring up and I forgot because I know you're big on mental health, and obviously me too. And for me, like, I know that doing too much cardio is not like the smartest thing when it comes to
there's a
weight
time
loss.
and place for it.
you're gonna adapt, and then you have to keep raising it. But the mental health benefits, the mood benefits are so profound for me that for me, I find like it's worth it to take a hit when it comes to like the metabolic slowdown that occurs,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd rather be in a good mood,
Exactly. No, I feel you on that.
right?
We talked about this in the podcast we just recorded too, because everyone wants to know how much cardio, when, where, and then like the answer is like it depends. If you're my client, you're always going to have some form of cardio, even if it's only 15 minutes for your heart, period.
Yes.
Okay. And then generally we're going to go into step goals. So like if I don't get up and go do the stairs for an hour, I'm going to go walk.
Yeah.
If I don't go walk, again, I can feel it after one day, and it doesn't have to be intense, like you're sweating and dying, but you can still get up and go for a walk and get outside. I mean, you're in beautiful South Florida. Like, I wish I would have got that down when I lived down there because I wasn't walking down there.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a little too hot.
Yeah.
I have my treadmill though, so I'm good, in
Yeah.
that area. But yeah, I love that you realize that, that just doing some form of cardio every day just keeps your brain just functioning optimally. And it is just, for me at least, the difference between doing cardio and not doing cardio is like night and day when it comes to my
Mhm.
mood. I don't know why my brain needs that.
I mean, and it's about literally finding what works for you. Who cares what's happening with your body?
Yeah.
Who cares what this looks like if this doesn't feel good? That's like the point I want to get across to everybody. Like, you do you and what works for you. Like, if you know that that's setting your day up for success, how you think, how you feel, who cares what any specialist says? You go do it. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yes. And that's the problem when you're so academically oriented. Like I went through the whole academic programs, nutrition, dietetics, exercise physiology, and it's like so many of the things we were taught, it's like completely useless because yeah, it's like people just spewing out what they just read without really ever trying to make an effort
I
to
know.
to be that person, and it's amazing what a difference it is when you go from theory to actually applying the stuff that you were taught and you realize it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I say, like, all my certs, I
Yeah.
just pretty much, they're just trash to me. Like, it was just bookwork,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
Like, I've learned everything pretty much that I know, that I utilize my clients through my own personal experience and from my mentors along the way.
1000%. I have a YouTube video that I posted a few years ago and said, I regret my PhD degree. It's true. It was like so, but it's just that people definitely want to see you have some credential. It makes them feel better.
Right.
But if they only knew, it's not that. That's not the source of the wisdom. Not
No,
even
I
close.
feel like it's changing in our times a little bit, though.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like previously it's like, oh, you got to get this job, you have a college degree. But I think it was more so just to show that you could show up somewhere for 4 years and
Accomplish something.
get
Yeah.
the hours done, right? And that's what
Right.
employer wanted to see. These days, I love this shift in society that we've been able to have all these creators. I don't have a college degree. I tell my kids, I'm like, you can go to college or you don't have to. You can create your job. I'm not going to force you in either direction. Like, I'm going to support you in what you want to do, and I feel like allowing people to create and create their
Yeah.
own jobs and, you
Yeah.
know, help and serve others is where it's at, like 100%.
I love it. You're like the best mom in the world. If I'm thinking who's the best mom ever, that would be you.
Oh, thank you. I
It's
don't feel
true.
that way sometimes. It's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. You never feel, see, you never feel like you're winning when you're winning,
Yeah,
usually. So remember that. Yeah.
I
That's
know.
so
I hesitate to even post that story the other day, but it was like, God was like, post it. And I had so many women message me and they were like, I have felt so alone. I felt so unseen. I'm going through the same thing. Another one of my friends had a black eye from her 2-year-old throwing a book at her eye.
Mm.
Like, and I was like, I guess I'm not alone. Like, so many people are going through this. They feel like they're they almost feel shame and guilt to even talk negatively about it or to talk about what they're going through with their children. And I'm like, we have to. That's how we support each other, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if something's going on in the universe with this generation of 2.5-year-olds, because I got a lot of messages from kids the same within a year age, or from mom
Really, that's
with
so
kids the same.
interesting. Yeah, so they
Yeah.
don't know what they're doing, you know? They're just like, let me try, you know? It's like there's so
Hmm.
many phases that a kid goes through, you know, as they grow and then there's gonna be the stealing phase. I remember I went through a stealing phase
Hmm.
for a few months, me and my brother, and it just we don't even know that we're doing something wrong, you know, and then until I got caught. Uh, I stole a bunch of gum from my uncle's store,
Oh my
and then I
God.
was trying to show them like I was doing something like a gymnastics move, and everything fell, you know. And that was kind of like a moment, a teachable moment, where it's like, oh, okay, that was a bad, that's not a good thing. And you know, your parents teach you like what's good and what's bad, but how are you supposed to know, you know, if you're a kid,
Right.
you
Hmm.
know? So yeah. What do you think is very important that we haven't touched upon yet? Or do you feel like we kind of touched upon the main elements?
As far as reaching your goals
Mm,
and,
and weight loss
oh,
specific.
weight loss, I
Yeah.
mean, well, like you said, consistency is number one. I'm a big preacher of you are what you eat. So, you can fill your macros with a bunch of processed crap, or you can choose to eat wholesome, good foods. This again is going to affect how this feels.
Yeah.
If you're pumping in chemicals and things like that, you're not going to feel as well. So, and consistency wins over everything else, stack the wins, stack the momentum, and keep going. And it's all about this creating this internal relationship with yourself, because you have to think once the kids are gone, once the spouse might pass, be gone, whatever, it's only us. We only have ourselves. Like, if we don't have a good internal relationship with ourselves, I mean, what do we have in this life? Because it's like we're all we have when you really think about it.
Yeah. And I talk so much about raising baseline dopamine and being in control of having a good mood. And the truth is, saying what you want to, setting a goal, but then showing up and actually accomplishing that goal. So basically, discipline. That is
Hmm.
the biggest thing that's going to raise your baseline dopamine, you
Yeah.
know? And that's going to make you feel good about yourself.
It
Being
builds self-confidence.
yes.
It really does.
Yes.
You don't question yourself as much anymore. You don't question decisions that are outside of fitness and nutrition anymore. You're like, no, I trust that this is right. Again, with that internal relationship, you start to listen to your intuition a lot more because you
Mm,
trust yourself more to
yes.
make choices. Have I made some wrong choices? Of course.
Yeah.
But you're quicker to recognize them. Like I got in something a little while ago. I'm not going to go into detail, but I recognized real quickly, this is not right. It could have lasted a lot longer. You know what I'm saying? It can be in friendships, it can be in relationships, it can be in business partnerships. But when you have that connection, the intuition, the mind, the body, the soul, like I said, I don't know how else to say it. It outpours everywhere. It's really works for you, and it can for the rest of your life. But you have to put in the work. Like
Yes.
no one can do that for you. No
Yes.
one. I tell
And
my clients, I'm like, I can lay out everything for you perfectly, but I can't put on your shoes and go to the gym for you. You know what I mean? I can't go cook the food for you. Like, you have to take those steps.
you
And
have
that's
to
where
want it.
I really think it all starts there, because I mean, my mind wasn't, again, I still fight the mind battles, but it wasn't right at the beginning.
Yeah.
It was getting through the suck of going to the gym and sweating and dragging my 2 and 3-year-old back and forth. And
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I remember you used to post your kids always like playing with their toys, like right
right
around the
beside the
stepper
stairmat.
or the treadmill.
Yep.
I
A
remember.
lot,
Yes.
and having to like get on and off, and and find childcare that would take them for a lot of time that I had to do my training. So that's why they would be with me with cardio sometimes, because some childcares at certain gyms were shorter and things like that. But God works in mysterious ways, because I mean, the main reason I started working at the gym before I made the choice to try to lose weight. But
Oh,
that was only because I wanted to take my kids with me to work. I had no other option. My husband was working all the time. And it's like, I can look back at these points and these decisions that were made where God has just been like weaving this, like dangling it like a little carrot, and I just wasn't there yet, right? You know, and it's so crazy, like when you can look back and see that.
That's so interesting. You remember we were talking about you have to want it, and I mentioned how like you can increase your desire by immersing yourself in that thing that you want to accomplish. So maybe in a way, immersing yourself in the gym and seeing these people working out all day long, your mirror neurons that want to imitate what they're seeing, like just naturally
Right.
are firing on all day long. It's like, I want to work out too. And then maybe that kind of kick-started those events.
Yeah, no, I really agree with that 100%. Your environment is huge. You
Yes.
can't with the food, like you can't. I work with clients with this all the time. I'm like, you can't have a bunch of crap in your cupboard if you're struggling with fighting binge eating, period.
Yes.
Because as soon as that low moment comes, you're gonna go to that. You're gonna go blank and you're gonna go to that because we haven't got these tools yet. So it's got to be out of there, you
Yes.
know?
Especially initially, especially as you're trying to change your life and trying to, because there's so many habits you have to instill in
Hmm.
yourself, and that takes a little bit of time. So if you're feeling overly confident and you're keeping cheat foods or junk foods and your whatever excuse you're using to keep them in there, you're just going to have it infinitely harder. If you need to have that conversation with your significant other, with your children, with whomever, like you have to feel supported in that way. And if you can't, it doesn't mean you can't do it. Just know you're going to have to work harder than somebody else who
Yeah,
will
it's
have
gonna be
that
a lot
conversation.
harder.
Right, a lot harder. Yes.
And the same thing with the gym. If you're not ready to be with a coach, well, you go sign up for some classes where you
Mhm.
got to pay if you don't show up to that class. I guarantee you're going to go to that class because you don't
Yeah,
want to pay that extra fee.
that's a
You
good one.
know? And
Yeah.
there's a group setting there. You start to meet people. Hey, are you coming to class next week? Like the environment is huge.
Yes. And that's what you did. You started with group classes.
And yeah. And that
Yeah.
was a huge part. Like I would be like, oh, I'm so tired, day 4 of spin class. And then all my friends would be like, that I had met just in the spin class after like 2 weeks, they're like, we'll see you tomorrow, right? And I'm like, okay, yeah, so I'm
Of course.
dead. I'll be here. Someone's cares, you know what I'm saying? Like they
Yeah.
actually cared. And I'll tell you what, some of the people you meet in the gym are some of the best people. I mean, it's a lot. There's some meatheads, don't get me wrong, but it's usually people that have figured out the process as close as we can get it to happiness. Is a
Yes.
happy life. Like, and I've met some really incredible people in all sorts of different gyms around the country. But I mean, like, you can meet some of your best friends, some of your kids' best friends. Like, I've got a girl that was a client that now has become my best friend, that our kids are best friends. Christian has a crush on this girl. I'm like, they're gonna end up married. I see it happening. He's 2.5 and he asks for her all the time.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, yeah, I agree. And especially a lot of times we go down dark holes. I know this happened to me when we're so isolated from people. Like for me, I remember when I had to work on my dissertation, I didn't have to, I finished all my classes, like where I had to drive to school and take those grad classes. And now all I had to do was just finish my study. And a lot of that was just me writing it up. And then a lot of times just waiting for my professor to come back from somewhere to have some time to meet with me where she would ask me to kind of revise everything. She would correct herself multiple times. She'd be like, oh no, why did you do that? This is
Hmm.
me going off on that rant. So you can see I have strong emotions surrounding that. And then she would correct herself, like she would forget that she told me to do that. I changed the dissertation. And then she'd be like, but why did you do that? And you can't really like pressure her too much or like, be blunt with her because she can make your life a living hell. At the end of the day, yeah, she has to sign off. So that was the first time in my life that I felt lonely. I didn't even know what loneliness meant. Growing up in Lebanon, people just show up at your door house. They don't even call or text like, "Hey, can we come?" No, they just show up and you right away
Wow.
you make them coffee and it's a very like, kind of like Latin America. It's a very family-oriented social community. And so I never knew what people meant when they said loneliness. I didn't ever experience loneliness until
Mhm.
those like a couple of years finishing up my dissertation, and it was like the worst in terms of me like being a victim and eating all of the Pizza Hut stuff and, and I would literally sometimes just force myself to go and drive and go to like Whole Foods or somewhere where I could sit and work just to
Mm-hmm.
see another human being. And my hubby would be working all day, at the hospital, and he wouldn't come home till late at night. And it was wow, I like really started having, really bad thoughts that I hadn't had for a very long time. So, yes, the social aspect is so huge when it comes to food addiction and your weight.
Yeah, I feel everything you just said. And I've been in that situation many a times. And I still get like that sometimes now because I'm like, I'm not going anywhere with these kids. They're acting crazy. I'm not taking you out in public. Where can we go where there's like nobody around or there's like
Right.
3 people?
Right. Oh my
I
gosh.
have to, like even today I told you I tried to take them to church, right? We're trying to find a new church home. We've been in this new townhouse about I want to say a month now. We've been to one church, it wasn't right, so we're gonna go to this new church, and Christian just lost it. And I'm like, Lord, you're trying to steal my time with God too, son.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah.
But just
My
still, I'm making the effort to be in
yeah,
that environment of supportive people, and we will try again next week. We will try again and we will try again until he gets it because
yeah,
I want my kids in that environment that's going to be supportive for them. And I need to be in that environment as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. Congratulations on moving on into a townhouse. I was gonna say, like, my hubby, he hates apartments. He's a very
Mm.
light sleeper. Growing up in Miami, like he had to go as a kid, he had to move a lot of apartments with his mom and stuff. And being a light sleeper, he always had issues with neighbors and stuff. And so from the moment I met him, it was always like either a house or a townhouse. And so it's funny you mentioned that because I always think about that, like when you have 3 kids, and like how do you feel about that transition from an apartment to a townhouse?
Well, so it's technically like it's connected to another townhome.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I
Yeah,
mean,
but it's not
you're
like you have people underneath you or over,
correct.
and
Yeah.
like the soundproofing is better.
Oh, 100%. It's so nice. When I first moved back to Texas, we were on the third floor. And try getting a 3 and a 5-year-old to not run around.
I was gonna say,
I was getting complaints all the time from underneath. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm not letting them like jump off the bed to the floor and stuff, but they're not gonna not run in the house. And that was hard. So then when we moved from there, I was like, oh, we're never living on a high floor. So we got a first floor. Um, and I'll just be honest with you, I think I've decided I'm the type of person that I'm never gonna buy a home. I I get in a space for a little while, I'm comfortable, and then I'm ready to go.
hmm,
Also, I don't want to pay property taxes. I don't want to worry about something breaking. I want to call somebody and I want them to come handle it.
right. Oh, tell me about it. We just bought our first house together, and it's like everything is on you. It's
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
no,
expenses.
I don't. I can't. My mind, at least at this point in my life, with the
Yeah.
kids and all the fires I've put out, and then all the stuff I'm trying to do, and all my clients, like I'm like, I do not have time to be worried about a broken air conditioner or a stopped up toilet. I don't.
Yeah.
They'll come change my light bulbs. They'll come do anything. Like I don't want to worry about that stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But this space is great for our family. It's big. We have a nice big garage that's basically like a closet now. It holds all
Nice.
our
Is it your closet?
stuff. Well, on that note, I have our closet is pretty much 90% mine.
So
But
me
then
too.
I have
Yeah.
my gowns are in my daughter's closet because I have
Yeah.
a lot of gowns. And then the closet here is smaller. So
Yeah.
our pants and our outerwear, like our big jackets, are in the boys' closet.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
I've got 90% of this closet and I've got like 50% of the other two closets.
That is hilarious. My hubby has given up on protesting. It's like you barely have any clothes, and the clothes that you do have, you wear like the same things. So I have like 90% of the walk-in closet, and then I have another one in an extra bedroom. And that's after like I when we moved from Miami to Ocala, I had like 10 trash bags, complete trash bags filled with clothes. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be improving my fashion sense. And
Mhm.
so if I haven't worn this item yet, my fashion sense has improved. I'm gonna put pressure on myself to do better with fashion. So I'm not taking anything with me.
No, that's what I did. I got rid of so much stuff. like before we moved, I sold a bunch of stuff, like clothes. I don't know if
Yeah,
you have the option to do that down there, but we have a
I
couple good
sh
places up
I
here.
should have. You
Yeah,
have
they
what?
have like a couple good places like Clothes Mentor, Uptown Cheapskate, places they don't pay a lot, but I mean it's
Better
some,
than nothing.
and
Yeah,
then they donate the rest of it.
I was so slow to put everything away, and my hubby's always like on time. And then like I didn't want, yeah, I was scared of him like losing it because he was like, I've been telling you we need to move on that day, and I'm like halfway through putting away just my office. I haven't even started with my closet, so I was so crunched on time to be
Mhm.
ready to move. So I gave like 6 bags to Goodwill. Like I just literally drove up and gave it to them. But I wish I knew, like I just didn't have time to sell stuff. And
Yeah,
then there was this lady from Craigslist. She came over, and I remember giving her stacks and stacks and stacks of heels that half of them I haven't even worn.
right.
And then I was like, you know what? I still have some more clothes here.
Oh my gosh,
She
that's
lucked
crazy.
that lady lucked out like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, no, like my girlfriend, she's really good on Facebook Marketplace. I don't really do Facebook, but she constantly changes the decor in her house. She's a single woman though, she doesn't have kids, like constantly changes her full look,
I
like
love it.
look. And so she is like become a queen of selling on Facebook Marketplace. Like she has to make her money and probably then some back, like with every switch she does.
I
Yeah.
have been so lucky with Facebook Marketplace, like things that, yeah, I've been able to sell stuff when you have, but you have to give yourself time. Like here in Ocala, we didn't even realize that the house was furnished until after we bought it, and then we're like, oh wait, oh it comes with the furniture. That's
Oh, that's
cool. Yeah,
nice.
right. But so we sold some of the stuff because it's not like very modern, and
Mhm.
we like more modern stuff. So, but yeah, Facebook Marketplace can be an awesome place.
Yeah, to make some extra money. I know all about that, girl. I
Oh,
was single mom for a long time and I mean, I support myself. So
yeah, me
it's
too.
a
Me
lot.
too. I love that though. You know what? This is really, that's before we wrap up, how important do you feel it is to be financially independent?
Oh, so
Everything.
important.
Yes.
Everything. Yeah, like we split everything. We have separate bank accounts. I unfortunately had to learn that the hard way with my ex-husband that I allowed this. I allowed him to take care of me, not to work, just to be the stay-at-home mom, but that came with another price. That came
There's
with a
no free lunch, is there?
yeah, it came with other I mean, other prices I had to pay. Then
Yeah.
when we were in the position of splitting up, he went through a lot of stuff, and I have nothing bad to say about this man. Okay, he's a great father, and I'm very grateful that he's in the kid's life, and he's never hurt me or anything like that. I don't want to say that, but he went through a lot of different. I think he was going through stuff in his head, and he cleaned out our bank account. I want to say 2 or 3 times. And so I remember going with full thing of groceries, both kids at Walmart, like getting declined for groceries when we were in the separation.
Process.
It's like it was like a 2 year period of we were trying to work on it, but we didn't know what we were doing before the divorce. And I go look on the phone and he's cleaned it out to like 46 cents. And then the savings account is gone too. And that was partially my money because some of that money was before the kids even came that we had saved when I was working 2 jobs. I was working
Right.
2 waiting tables and serving jobs with like a big old pregnant belly with Cecilia. And all that was cleared out. And I've never felt anything like that in my life. Like where I was just like so helpless. I had these 2 little kids. We needed groceries. This was our money. And then all of a sudden it was gone like that because he got in a pissy mood one day. And I'm like, no, this will never, ever happen again. So that's like, I think that was right around when I started doing my certs and all that. I was like, I'm gonna start making changes. I'm gonna set up something for myself. And I was like, never,
Yeah.
never
And
will
you
that.
kind of like put an exit plan for yourself? Yeah, because it's not like you can wake up one day from being in that situation to the next day being, I'm leaving you and I can get my apartment the next day. Like, you have to first set up your own job, your own income.
Mm-hmm.
Did you separate your bank account when you started getting your certification, started making money, or was it still going to the joint account because technically like you're still together and you don't want to like rock the boat?
So the money that I made originally, everyone paid me on PayPal. So when he would be in a better mood, he would give me money here. He was still paying the bills, obviously.
Yeah.
I think at that time when we moved back to Texas, I think I worked in the preschool again. I'd worked there previously. I worked there again so Sebastian could go there. I didn't make hardly any money off that. So that money went in the bank account. But what I was making from starting my coaching business, I'm talking like 3 to 5 clients. It was hardly anything, was just like slowly building up in my PayPal account.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if he knew I was doing that, to be honest. Like he was so detached. Like I don't even know if he knew that I was doing the online coaching. I
Wow.
don't really remember, honestly. Or maybe he thought I was doing it and not making any money. But I built myself a little nest egg, basically, that never got touched. And so that was what floated me in the transition of really getting things up and running when we did fully separate, because it was a hard time with child support, etc. I still don't technically get what I should on that, but we're not going to go into that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have the energy to fight it or do anything with it. But um yeah, that was what got me through that. And I'm talking, it was tough. It's still tough sometimes. Like I'm not here to say I make, $500,000 a year. I do what
Not
I
yet.
love. I'm happy with the time that I have, the money comes and flows. I've come to realize that or comes and goes, when
Yes.
I make it.
January is coming soon. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Hang in there.
but you can't, like with our business, it's like you can literally have 10 clients drop off in 1 month out of nowhere. And
True.
that's
I've learned that
huge.
lesson.
Yeah, that's a huge piece of income. So you learn that it's like when you're making really good, you stack some of that away, you invest it, you save it, because there might be a month that you don't make as much.
Yes. I think I've learned that August and July and August are the slowest when it comes to coaching, and January is insane. I mean,
Yeah. New
crazy.
year, new you.
Yes, yes. And I went back, I was analyzing my YouTube channel. I had YouTube videos that I had posted. 2019 is when I started, and I was like, let me see how come I persisted so long posting. And you could see like some videos in the first day, it would get like 3 views, 7 views. But then 2, 3 years after, 2, 3 years later, all of a sudden around January, like this video that had 3 views in the first day, 3 years later, all of a sudden went from 200, 300 views to 10,000 views because it was January. It's like there's such a crazy inflection point. Yes,
Yeah, that's insane.
it is. And YouTube, by the way, is like the best converter as opposed to posting on Instagram, because there's just so
I
much
know.
value we can pack into, like, say, a podcast. And even if it doesn't get as many views as like millions of views like Mr. Beast is getting, our stuff is so niche. It's like people specifically that are spending an hour and a half listening to weight loss and discipline. Like those are warm leads. So the conversion rate of YouTube content is crazy high.
Yeah, no, I need to do it.
Yeah, well,
I'm finally actually getting better at showing up on Instagram a little bit.
the podcast, just film it, both of you are gorgeous. That's very helpful. I mean, not that, again, I'm not feeding anybody's limiting beliefs. You don't need to look pretty to make it on YouTube. I can promise you that. There are a lot of people who couldn't care less about how they looked, or and they're making way more money than we are. So I don't want to feed anybody, because I feel like that's always a limiting belief that people have. Like, oh yeah, sure, you're pretty. Are you sure you can quit your job and do YouTube? It's like, no, it has nothing to do with that. Trust me.
This don't get you everything, okay?
Yes. So I feel like, but it does help. Not gonna say, because it's like, you are pretty. So it would be nice to see you also like on the, it's the same time commitment, and
Right.
and now you have it in video format. Just, just
Oh, she's trying to get me to, but the thing is normally when I'm doing it, I have to be up here locked in the room, or I'm multitasking. I have my headphones on and I'm actually on mute half the time, folding laundry or taking care of my kids.
Oh,
When
I see.
If the
Okay.
kids are still there, like if I'm recording during the week. And so I'm like still in this transition period with it.
Right.
We're gonna get there. It's
Yeah.
just it's a time
Okay.
factor for me because I have so many responsibilities. Like,
Yeah. Here's the thing. You can just film yourself doing all this stuff and send them off. I'll give you the contact information of my editor. It's insanely cheap. It's on Fiverr. And then you just send him the Dropbox link. I'll show you how to do that. So easy. And then
mhm.
he'll just cut it up into a vlog form.
Okay.
And now you're not taking any time out. All you have to do is just press play and have the footage of a few days, let's say, or one day, a day in the life of a fitness model and mother and a full-time business. I mean, people would love that, because what you're doing is really impressive with 3 children and a full-time job and all this stuff. It's very impressive. So I think it would be very helpful. Like people will just want to see how you're living your life, and that can create your
You want
personal
to see me
brand.
crumbling almost every day?
Yeah, but that's the power of it. It's like, yeah, it's not easy, but we do it. We show up.
Yeah, I'm like the other day when I was crying going out of the gym, girl, I was just like, hold it together. You're almost to the car. Somebody wants to see you.
Oh, I know. Oh, don't make me cry. It's
No, but it's just like it's real though. And I'm tired of I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm trying to be myself and I'm trying to share more. I am trying to show up more on Instagram, which even that is a struggle for me sometimes too. I've talked about it previously because of I don't have nothing to say that day. I'm not gonna just put something up just to put it up. Like I have to be truly feeling what is coming out of me or it's fake to me. And
right.
that is not me. And then sometimes I'll like have something to say, but then I don't have the right video or picture that goes with it. Like,
Mhm.
and then I'm trying to like make these reels and I'm like, how the F do I have to make all these reels? Like it's so much work.
Right, right. Well, you can send them again to an editor for like, I think he charges me like $5 or $6 per reel,
Mm-hmm.
and he can do that stuff for you. And also, casual, candid pictures
Mm-hmm.
do even better sometimes than when you're
Yeah.
so perfect and gorgeous and in a photo shoot because people can relate more to candid,
Yeah.
you know?
I don't post a lot of those, honestly.
Yeah, and that takes no time. You literally just snap a picture and post it.
Yeah.
That's
My
it.
stories get some more action than my page.
True, yeah. Yeah, and that's what Gary Vee always talks about. Like, you don't have to be perfect all the time. If anything, it's the opposite. People
Mhm.
love to see the real you, and they can relate to that so much more than when they know you've had a few hours of doing your hair and makeup and so perfect. So I'm so happy you mentioned the fact that you have separate bank accounts. I credit the happiness that I have with my husband with how fiercely independent we both are.
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of relationships put so much undue stress on themselves because they're like, oh, let's put everything together. Let's become this one person. And then, like, my husband buys a new toy car every few months. Imagine if we had a joint bank account, all the ideas that I would have about what to do with that money. Like, do you really need a new Porsche? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, but it keeps him happy. It's like his hobby. He loves cars. And
Mhm.
like he'll buy a car 6 months later. You know what? I posted it to I want to sell it. I'm looking at this other car, and it's like imagine how many instances of potential arguments we could be
Oh,
having
yeah.
if I felt that that money all somehow belongs to me too, and vice versa. Like I like fashion.
Oh,
I
girl,
like nice things. Yeah. So,
shopping. Woo. That's what I gotta work on.
right. So I think what we have done, being fiercely independent and retaining our individuality and our independence, and especially financial independence, is probably the number one advice that I can give for people for sanity and happiness and to maintain the peace and to you're really like I'm truly with my husband for one reason only. I love him. There's no other consideration in my
Mm,
mind. If I want to like I could literally right now go and rent out a beautiful house and be,
right.
completely fine. So the only reason I stay here is because I love him and that's it.
Mhm. It's not tied to anything else. Yeah. So
No.
I think it just depends on the dynamic of the relationship. Like if I hadn't went through all the crap I went through in my life, I wouldn't be at a strong enough point to be able to maintain a business and 90% of the work in the home and the kids, right?
Yeah.
But I had to go through that to get here.
Yeah.
I think in some relationships it does work out where one partner is making all the money and the other partner is full on parent, right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of finding which dynamic is going to work for you. With the
Yeah.
life I've had and my journey, that will probably never be my life unless, again, Michael just starts making like $1 million a year, but then I would be bored. I would go crazy because like I like helping people. And again, I don't want to ask if I want to go buy this dress or whatever, like,
Right.
previously if it was over $100, I had to ask,
Wow. Yeah.
you know,
I couldn't do that. Oh, I
if it
can't.
wasn't groceries or a house necessity, if it was over $100, I had to ask.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And by working with so many clients, I see that in general, women, they want to be independent in general, and the cracks start happening a few months in, a few years in. You start noticing the heavy price you're paying because you don't have that independence,
Yeah,
and
it can come in many forms. It can come in, again, like a controlling factor of
yeah,
like asking to spend. It can come in an emotional controlling factor. Well, I do all this, so you got to do all that. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I see how it works for some people, like I said, so I'm not going to say one way is better than the other, but for me, this
yes,
is how
yeah,
it's going to be. Yeah.
yeah. And here's something
Unless there
too.
was a lottery win.
A lot of what?
Unless he won the lottery or something,
Or
like
something. And
some
then
kind
it's
of
like,
crazy
let's
thing.
have a joint bank account.
Yeah, but no, but then
Change
again,
my
like I
mind.
said, if I just stopped working, I would be bored.
Yes,
Part of what happened there is like my purpose is not only to be a mom.
yes,
Part of my purpose on this earth is to serve and help others. Period. I
yeah,
know that. I know
yeah,
God put me through all the shit I've been through to be able to identify with a bunch of other people and show them tools and things to help them get through those situations. That is what we are all here for ultimately, is to serve others.
yes. It's also another thing of why I relate to you so much. Growing up, also the stuff that I went through and the way that I was brought up, I also learned from a very young age that I couldn't rely on anybody,
Oh,
that
yeah.
I only had myself.
Exactly. This where this whole conversation was with the internal relationship, you never know. You never know when someone's going to have a midlife crisis. You cannot put all your eggs in one basket. I get asked about my relationship with Michael a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of people got to see that firsthand at the last competition. They're like, wow, you really have a supportive partner. He was chasing around those kids, and I'm like running around trying to chase them in my heels too, but trying to take pictures and be social at the same time. And like even people that didn't know us personally were sending me messages on Instagram. They're like, wow, you have a good man. Like he supports you. Like he's sitting there wrangling this 2.5-year-old through like a 3.5 hour long show just to
Wow.
support mommy and stuff like that. You have to find a partner that is going to support you in the way that you need to be supported.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that that could be financially, it could be
Yeah.
emotionally, it could be, we all have different love languages, right?
Yeah.
But we work very well together as a team. We're all a team here. And
Yeah.
I've been working because I used to do everything. Let me just be very upfront about that for the kids. And I'm like, no, you're gonna do your laundry. You're gonna unload the dishwasher. You have chores. I'm not your slave, your maid, your short order cook.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna raise some entitled, because at first I was trying to give them everything that I didn't have, right?
Mm,
And then I started realizing, I was like, no, no, you're not going to ask me to do things that you can literally reach over there and grab your water. You know what
good.
I'm saying?
Yes.
You can go fill up your water bottle. And then I started realizing, I was like, no, no, we're not doing this. So I'm getting better at delegating around the house with them. But he shows up. He shows up in every way possible. He went from a single man to a father of three.
Right. That's a
That's
pretty big
that's
jump.
that's like night and day difference.
Yeah.
Um, and I pray it's for the long term. I trust in God's plan either way.
Yeah.
And we just keep working together and
Yeah.
supporting each
As
other.
long as you're both happy, that's the single most important thing. For me, the metric of success is not the length of a marriage or a partnership, it's the happiness. Like, I'd rather be with someone for 5 years and be super happy than be with somebody for 25 years and secretly wanting to kill them.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of what good working marriages are like. Like, oh, they've been together for so it's like oh my gosh, I'd rather be single for the rest of my life than be living in that life, you
Yeah,
know?
I know, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I love that we touched upon that. I could talk so much more about, maybe we should do another one about like a few months in, we can talk like more about relationships. I feel like it's very rare to find the kinds of relationships that you and I enjoy because I look around me and I don't see that. I don't see that in my family. I don't see that in my friends. I don't see that. It's so rare. And I think a large part of that is the independence again, and just really relying on ourselves and being whole on our own so that the other person, you can be happier with them, but it's not like you rely on them for happiness.
Yeah, I mean, Candace and I actually just talked about this on a podcast as well, as doing what we feel like society tells us to do. Like, you got to get married right outside of college. Whoever happens to be with you then is who you're with, right? You're like almost like forced into this situation, that you thought was the right decision by society's rules. And maybe, like me, you got to learn everything the hard way. Then that's not how it's supposed to go. I went into the relationship of being full. The only reason I allowed that to happen, of being fully taken care of, is because I had taken care of myself since I was 16 years old. And I'm not gonna lie, I was exhausted. It's exhausted I was paying for my college, I was paying for my cars, no one ever paid for anything for me. And I was like, let somebody take care of me, please.
Right.
But that came with other costs, and I had to go through that and learn that, and I was like, okay, take this working my butt off is not so bad.
Right.
Like my
Yes.
sanity and my peace, in other
Yes.
areas. So,
Money, just like fitness, right? There's just eventually we all learn there's the only way out is through.
oh yeah.
It's in everything in life. Oh God. We could talk for hours, I'm sure, but I know you have 3 kids you want to get back to, and it's your Sunday. So I truly appreciate taking your time and giving us this beautiful interview. Everybody, make sure you watch round 1 and round 2, both of the first 2 interviews that we did also. And I'm gonna make sure I posted the links to your Instagram and your email if people want to reach out to you, but you can also share with them like how can people connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Keto Goddess Mama. If you're interested in working with me, I finally have a virtual storefront. So there is a little link in my bio that you can click, and it will show you the options of what I offer. You can also listen to Candace and I on the Becoming Unstoppable podcast. You can find that on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That has been a wonderful experience for me doing that podcast. Like with YouTube, I feel like Instagram is so short. Everybody's attention span is like gone after like 20 seconds. And I'm like, I have a lot to say. I have a lot of good information. My clients get this, my kids get this, but the podcast has been an excellent outlet for me to share that with others. And it's almost like a form of therapy for me, just to be able to, I mean, this too, just being able to sit here and have a good conversation and
Right.
some stuff out, because, I talk to my clients and Candace and Michael, and that's like the only adults I talk to. I'm mainly talking to children all day long.
Right. Yeah, it's true. It really is like therapy to me too. Like it really, every time I get off an interview, especially if it's a good one, like it's you're on a high, because you interacted with another person and we usually connect on a deeper level because we're talking about big, inspiring things usually.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, do you ever get those DMs? Because, you and I like fashion, and usually the more beautiful fashion images tend to be a little bit sexy or maybe too sexy. Do you ever get the OnlyFans, or like if I post something like that, all of a sudden you see everybody going to my link tree. It's like, I'm sure she has an OnlyFans.
I get in the other inbox, I go in there about,
Don't go there.
I go
What
like
are you
once a
doing?
month. Well, it's weird because sometimes legit stuff is in there.
True.
I mean, I filter through it about once a month, and then I get fed up and I'm like, no, you're not getting pictures of my feet. No, I don't sell my underwear. No, I don't message any of this back, but it's just kind of like, oh,
Crazy
stuff.
stuff, or baby daddy invites, like I'll spend $3,000 on you, so just
Oh yeah, do
some
you
quality
want to be
time
my,
together.
sugar mama or whatever the heck? I get that all the time, and all the junk stuff for like junk collaborations and junk. Oh, let me buy followers. I'm not doing that crap.
No,
No.
me neither. Me neither. Yeah, it's so funny what like The OnlyFans craze is so crazy to me. Like for me, I I might be wrong, but for me, I think it's like porn, right? I mean, why else would you want to do that and charge people if it's not that, you know? Like I would never ever do that. But I mean, I can see how some women are making millions of dollars. And hey, if you came from a rough background, kind of like Cardi B, she was like, "Hey, listen, stripping helped me get out from a toxic situation. Hey, good on you." I love
Mhm.
Cardi B. Um, but yeah, it's so funny how like automatically people go, they think that you have an OnlyFans just because, you know, you're wearing a bikini. It's like, listen, I'm never gonna stop wearing a bikini. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna start twerking soon, so get ready for that.
You know, my account has been shadow banned on and off for probably the last 2 years.
You know, that's another reason why some women will say, "Oh, I'm gonna do OnlyFans," not because they're doing anything like pornographic or whatever, but just so that they wouldn't get shadow banned. Just because sometimes, like, just a regular bikini picture can get shadow banned. Like,
No, it's like my check-in photos. And or
wow,
like I could be in a
yeah,
bodysuit and it'll go off for
yeah,
like 3 days where it can be recommended, my stuff can be recommended to non-followers, but then it comes back.
yeah,
I've been dealing with it for like 2 years. And I'm just like,
it's
I just
crazy.
go fill the decision. There's nobody to talk to. Instagram is a robot. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, whatever. Who's meant to see my stuff will see it. Like, I don't post for people. I know that sounds terrible, but I post for myself. Like, because
No,
almost everything I say is something
mhm.
I'm feeling that day, and someone else needs to hear that. I'm not doing my Instagram is like a diary of my life. It is not for anybody else, you
Me
know.
too.
So,
Me too. It's so easy for me to get so many more followers, so much more engagement if because I know what a lot of portion of my audience wants me to talk about, but it's like that's my page.
mhm,
I'm going to create the world that I want, and what I'm going to talk about what I'm interested in. And I feel like that allows for longevity in doing social media and building your brand as long as you stay authentic to who you are, you know? And then if I'm following someone, I don't want to be the person telling that person how what to post. I'm following that person for a reason. I want them to be their authentic self, you
mhm,
know?
yeah.
So yeah, but it's funny, me too. I have like so many, like I think I have like 4 posts where like they're flagged because either like it's a bikini or I had a bodysuit that I wore. I filmed a music video. I never ended up posting that music video because it was the first ever one, and I'm still not very confident. But maybe I should go revisit that. But it was such a gorgeous, like you know how Britney Spears did in Toxic music video? She wore that bodysuit, and it's something similar to that.
Sparkles, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the AI kinda or the algorithm kind of spotted like it looks very nudish with some sparkles on it, but
Mhm.
everything is covered up and you wear the bathing suit underneath that's flesh colored and stuff. But yeah, like and I don't know if I have to like go delete them for those things to go away, but for now like my it's not like it's a
No,
strike.
because you know what I did is when it happened after about a year, I got fed up with it. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to archive these posts. And then it just popped up with like 5 or 6 more. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go in and delete everything I've ever posted. Nothing is inappropriate, period.
That's so great. The
And
fact that
I've
they
seen some
allow
stuff.
high what?
I'll be scrolling on Reels and I'll see some stuff that is legit
Oh,
borderline.
oh yeah,
That,
yeah.
that and I'm like, how am I seeing this? But I'm getting flagged for my check-in photos. Are you kidding me?
Exactly. The fact that they allow highly addictive foods to be present and they promote it and they don't care if children are seeing highly addictive foods that are activating your brain like but yet oh a bikini picture it's a little too risque. It's like come on, we're all adults here. We're not responsible for how another child has access to Instagrams. The parents are supposed to control their access to all these things. Not, I did not make that decision to bring that child into the world. Why should I pay the price for that other person's neglecting their responsibilities? So
Yeah.
I have a lot to say about that. But anyway, let's not go off on a rant. Thank you so much, Ciara. This has been so much fun as usual. We'll do another one. If you guys want us to talk about relationships, tell us. Maybe we'll do one in a few months or so. We'll see how this does.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you for having me again. I can't believe it's been 3 times. Like now I feel like I'm gonna listen to them all back to back.
I should go back and listen to them. Yeah, because I feel like we'll pick up things that, because we evolve so much faster than we think we do, you know?
I know, and sometimes it's hard to this is why I like the Instagram as like my diary, right? It's hard to see it when you're in it, but I can go back and look and I'm like, holy crap.
The
Like if
evolution.
I could have told her that I'd be where I am now, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you just can't even, it's just like when you lose a lot of weight, your mind is not caught up with your body yet, right?
Yes,
You know?
that is so true. Thank you, Sierra. I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
let you go back. Having a beautiful Sunday. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us till the end. If you enjoyed this kind of content, let us know. We'll do more of it. And if you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell icon so YouTube will alert you every time I post a new video. Have a great Sunday, everybody, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.